Hi, I'm Ian Hemphill, otherwise known as Herbie. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was the storage of your herbs and spices. A lot of people ask, how long will they last? When can I use them? What's the best way to store them? A few very basic things to keep in mind. First of all, a spice gets its flavours from the volatile oils that are captured in the cell structure of the spice. And therefore, it's very important that you want to keep those volatile oils as well protected as possible. You will notice that on our labels, you'll always see a best before date. It's not a use by date. The reason it's a best before date is that your spices will never go off. Spices that have been properly dried and prepared will last for 10 or 20 years. But over that period of time, the flavour profile will drop off as the volatile oils gradually evaporate and some of them will oxidise. And so that's why we say best before. Now when a spice is whole, say like whole cumin seeds, peppercorns, even juniper berries, when a spice is whole, all of the volatile oils are neatly captured in nature's perfect package. And you can rely on a shelf life of best before, the date that will stay the best flavour until, for about 3 years. Probably even go for a little bit longer. The main thing to remember is to keep the spices away from extremes of heat and humidity. We pack them in a zip seal high barrier pouch, and when you've used some spice, squeeze the air out, zip it shut, and then store it in the coolest part of the kitchen. We don't tend to recommend storing in the fridge or freezer because when you take the packet out, you will get condensation forming. The condensation introduces moisture, and moisture is one of the big enemies of the storage of spice. Now, those of you who have had the pleasure of grinding your own spices, hopefully in a mortar and pestle, will have noticed that when you start grinding, you get this beautiful aroma coming off. Great. And of course you need to grind the spice to add to many of the dishes that you're cooking. Keep in mind though that once you have ground that spice, you've broken up the cell structure, you're starting to release the volatile oils, and therefore the shelf life will actually become shorter. And the best before date on a ground spice and with most of the dried herbs will tend to be somewhere between 12 to 18 months. Now, as I said, you can use them after that date, but you'll find that the flavour isn't quite as strong and you'll find that you've lost some of the brighter volatile top notes. If you come across a spice in the back of the pantry that's very old, don't just be tempted to use a lot more, because you will find that some of your volatile top notes will have vanished, will have decreased, but some of the deeper base notes that are in the oleoresins within the spice will still be there. So if you use too much of a very old spice, you will find that you could create a slightly bitter note in the recipe that you're making. But as I said, very much common sense, keep away from extremes of heat and humidity, keep in airtight packaging, remember in your kitchen that you've got an oven, you've got a fridge, you've probably got a dishwasher, these all generate heat. Keep them in a drawer or cupboard away from those appliances, coolest part of the kitchen, and you'll find that your spices will last very well. And always enjoy using them. Don't buy more spices than you need, just buy a small quantity and buy regularly rather than buying a whole lot and then having it sitting around in the kitchen for a year. If you have any questions about spices, please go to our website, you'll find a contact us, and we are very happy to answer any questions you may have. So, happy spicing.